Let's talk about the fashion giant, Andre Leon Talley.
He was so many things he wasn't supposed to be, and they couldn't get around it.
Welcome back. My name is Jada if you're new here, and today we're going to talk about the late, the great Andre Leon Talley, the fashion giant.
It was amazing to me to think about the magnitude of his contribution, considering the brackets that someone tried to force him in one way or the other, which you couldn't do.
I think to even be called a fashion giant in an industry led by white editors, models, photographers, designers speaks volumes to the regality of Andre and his work. Andre also has a very distinctive and creative approach to fashion criticism. When he spoke about fashion and life, you could hear the intellectualism and passion in his voice. This is someone who, whenever you hear him speak, you just know he's going to say something of value and very profound.
I thought it was very, very provocative. I thought it was very refined, but the mixture of the refinement of the couture with the provocation of modern life and the healthy vulgarity of what is going on with young people, it was great.
He also introduced a more inclusive and accessible way of talking about fashion.
Andre Leon Talley transformed the fashion conversation by challenging the industry's long-standing exclusivity. He brought a fresh perspective that was both grounded in his own cultural experiences and expansive in its reach. Talley used his position to make fashion more relatable, highlighting its power to reflect broader societal issues like race, class, and identity. Through his writing, his presence at high-profile events, and his role as a bridge between the fashion elite and the public, he made the world of fashion feel more approachable, showing that style wasn't just for a select few, but for everyone. His work opened doors for more diverse voices, making space for stories that had been previously sidelined. What will always stand out to me about how Andre Leon Talley perceives fashion novelty is this quote from him stating, "My grandmother taught me about dignity and values and striving for excellence, rigor, discipline, maintenance, cleanliness next to godliness. It's aristocratic in the highest sense of the word. You can be aristocratic without having been born into an aristocratic family." I also really loved how Andre Leon Talley honored his grandmother. There's an article from Etiquette where Andre states, "As a child, I lived with my grandmother in Durham, a city in North Carolina, in the South. She was a cleaning lady at Duke University. Despite her modest conditions, she liked things in her life to be perfect. She put particular care of the geraniums in her garden. She would clean her porch every Saturday, and she would wash the house's linen like they were a work of arts, putting them in big boiling pots of water. Then she'd dry them in the sun before wetting them again with warm water to humidify them before ironing them. True luxury, that's it, clean white linen. My grandmother was elegant instinctively. She had the habit of dyeing her hair lavender blue, and I thought it was good she gave herself that color. She wore very nice clothes. They weren't expensive, but they looked nice, and mostly they were high quality. When she died, she was wearing a beautiful coat she had bought 40 years earlier. Even if she didn't come from an aristocratic family, she was an aristocrat. Next to her, I learned a certain life ethic. That's where my taste for the finer things, for what is impeccable, comes from. Today, if I dress well, if my porch is cleaned each week."
My grandmother was a domestic worker at Duke University for 50 years. But on the weekends, she rose. She rose to her regality, her regalness, when she put on that hat and put that handkerchief in the handbag and those gloves matching the handbag and the handbag matching the shoes and that little black suit or that little navy blue coat. And we marched off into church. And I discovered fashion. Color, fashion, attitude. It was the attitude. Everyone in the church was the queen.
He also gave more visibility to Black designers and models like Chanel and Iman and more.
Talley supported and uplifted Black designers like Willie Smith, Patrick Kelly, and Tracy Reese, helping them gain visibility in mainstream fashion. And obviously, as Vogue's creative director, he made significant efforts to diversify the magazine, including featuring more Black models and designers. Talley also mentored young Black talent, including designers like Virgil Abloh, helping them navigate and succeed in a predominantly white industry. He also pushed for more Black models in high profile and editorial spreads, notably in Vogue and W Magazine. And on shows like America's Next Top Model, Talley offered a platform for emerging Black talent in front of a large audience. Talley's writings and interviews often focused on racial issues in fashion, empowering marginalized communities with his platform.
He also heavily championed for designers like JPG, Jean Paul Gaultier, and Vivienne Westwood. It was very eclectic and out-of-the-line type of designers that were creating avant-garde pieces Andre recognized needed to be at the forefront of fashion to tell a new story of fashion. His style also symbolized his confidence in himself and in his work, often wearing things like capes and robes to really mark his presence in the fashion world.
Talley's robes and capes were more than just fashion. They were a visual declaration of presence. Their grandeur and sweeping silhouettes spoke to his larger-than-life persona and deep connection to the history of couture. Each garment was an embodiment of his reverence for high fashion, as well as a reclamation of power and elegance, drawn from both African heritage and the sartorial worlds he inhabited. The flowing fabrics seemed to hold a quiet strength. To me, it suggested a man who was both an observer and participant in the world of fashion, unafraid to stand apart while remaining deeply rooted in tradition. His capes, in particular, were symbols of elevated status, not just in terms of luxury, but of intellectual and cultural authority.
To me, Andre was so much more than just a voice in a fashion magazine. He broke racial barriers and bulldozed doors, often closed and shut for people who are white.
Which is why I was saddened to learn about the treatment he received while at Vogue and just in the fashion industry in general. Not only did learning about his childhood trauma devastate me, I literally had to take a pause on doing this video because I'm like, the way they designed this world, the way they designed this world to be something that it was not meant for infuriates me. But in terms of Andre Leon Talley and the discrimination and just racial injustice that he had to face, despite working almost 500 times harder, which we have to do, and still that not being enough to at least grant some type of grace to someone who deserves to be in that space, deserves to take up space. The way he expressed how Anna treated him, how Karl Lagerfeld ended up treating him, how Lulu, whoever, I guess the daughter of someone who works at Yves Saint Laurent, I don't know who she is, I don't really care to get it right with her, and just how all of these people treated him when he in return treated them with the utmost respect is so devastating. But it's the world that we live in, unfortunately. And I was gonna say, things were different back then. I mean, he grew up in the Jim Crow era in Durham, North Carolina, so just imagine what he had to face then. But they're kind of the same, they're just packaged differently. This is why I don't see Anna Wintour as some grandeur woman of fashion, someone of nobility, someone that has the final say when it comes to fashion. I think people assign the wrong people in the wrong situations too much power. Even when there's pictures of Kim Kardashian sitting next to Anna Wintour and people are creating think pieces saying, oh, Anna Wintour doesn't like her, Anna Wintour
Okay, whatever that means. It's getting weird.
Not just in Kim Kardashian's defense, because that's no, but in general, okay, what does that mean for me if Anna Wintour doesn't like me or doesn't look in my direction? It also just goes to show people assign the power, so we need to reassign who we think has the final say of fashion. Andre said this himself. He said Anna Wintour cared more about the power in the fashion industry that she could have versus the education and passion and really just the range of speaking about fashion. Nonetheless, there were still so many people around his time that honored, understood, and respected his vision for fashion, his criticism on fashion, and just the way he approached it, how he wanted to diversify it and make it more inclusive for all people.
Andre, larger than life, over the top, fabulous, quintessential fashion man, and gorgeous, a beautiful person, big heart.
With that being said, this is the end of this video. I really hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys next time.